past, the rain is over and gone, the flowers appear on the earth, the time of the singing of birds is come, and the voice of the turtle is heard in our land. Here it comes. He struck him out, and Morris has a no-hitter.
There's a drive to left. That one is long gone.
You don't want to walk you.
There's a long drive to right, and it is a home run for Gibson. A 3-run homer. The Tigers take it 8-4.
There's a long drive all the left down the line. If it stays there, it's gone. It's a fair ball. It's the facing of the upper deck. Home run number 50 for Central Fielder.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Roar Live right here on My Michigan TV, the Kavala Broadcast Network, and, of course, you can catch this audio version in its entirety on your favorite podcasting platform. We're talking Tigers and they're playing pretty good right now. They lost their first series. I know we talked about this last week. I think when we had the show Sunday, they were taking on the Twins, which they ended up losing that last game of the series. Came back, beat the Brewers 9-1 the next day, and then dropped the next two. But the Tigers came back yesterday and beat the Royals 6-1. What are your thoughts?
Tigers better beat all the bad teams they can beat. Twins, Royals. They need to beat all the bad teams. They need to take those series like they did the White Sox, because the Royals are just like – the Royals are – everybody's in the race now because it's still early. But watching the Brewers series, the Tigers need to win all the series, all the teams that are not good teams. Because down the stretch, when they start playing good teams, and the games all matter, but as it gets warmer, it's going to be tough, man. I'm wishy-washy with them.
Yeah. Well, Brewers, they're second place right now in the National League Central. So, they're a team that, we talked about it on Sunday.
Yeah.
A lot of players we've never heard of before. They're a young team.
Yep.
But the Tigers, it's still a tight division.
It is.
Guardians are a game and a half out, and if I'm not mistaken, we don't get the Guardians until I think what do we say? Was it
late
May, May, early June? So
I think so. Twins are done.
Yeah.
Twins are 5
they're
out.
7-12 right now.
Yeah, they're done.
The White Sox 4-14. But hey, the Tigers are 11-8, and they're 6-1 home. Does the away record of 5-7 kind of, scare you a little bit?
Yeah, the Tigers are one of those teams that home field advantage that they really have. There's something about playing in Comerica. It's like they play better baseball. They play more intense. To me, they play. Everybody contributes when they're at home.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like on the road, they got to pick that up on the road because it'll be June before you know it.
It will.
The race is going to get heavy. Some of these players, I'm looking at these averages. Dip, 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 dip. I'm starting to see it, and it's starting to make me think, will the Tigers be able to win the Central? Will they be able to win the Central? Yeah, they got to pick up. They got to pick up on the road. They got to play better on the road.
Well, speaking of stats right now, Riley Green is batting a measly .233.
He had one hit out of 32 at bats over a 9-game. Listen,
he struck out 30 times already this year.
Listen, man.
Now, on the flip side, though, Torkelson has struck out 25 times, but he's hitting .286. Yeah. And he's got 6 home runs on the year.
Yeah.
Both of those two are have batted 70-plus times. Kerry Carpenter, he's batting .295. He's got 5 home runs. McKinstry is actually the guy that's got the best on-base percentage right now at .282. But I think the difference with Torkelson, even though he's got 25 strikeouts right now, I think the biggest thing for me is he's got 10 walks. So he's actually, faring a lot better than he was last year.
He's seeing the ball.
I don't see he's not chasing pitches.
Yeah, he's
like
seeing the ball. He's seeing the ball better, which is good. Which is good for him. And he's gonna have to. He needs to hit 280. He really does. Like, he needs to hit 280, man. Like, he needs to keep knocking in RBIs. And he has to stay mentally prepared. Like, I think he's on a different mental thing. And because he is, like I said, the Tigers only have 2 stars, Scooble and the coach. No Torres, no Green, no Carpenter. I don't care what you say about Carpenter. They don't have any stars, man. Like, and the Riley Green stuff, like, this was supposed to be the next guy is supposed to hit 300, close to 300. Out of 32 at-bats, you have 1 hit? That ain't going to, and you're an everyday player, that's not going to hold up.
What do you think it is? Do you think it's just early season jitters?
No, I don't think it's early season jitters. I think it can't be. Look at what they did in the postseason last year. I don't think they're afraid. The Tigers aren't afraid of anybody. My thing that I've always been saying is that we rush to put superstar or star title on folks that are just average players. Riley Green is just an average ball player. If you listen, man, when Pete Rose came up to bat, he was going to hit.
Sure.
His years said that. None of these players have that that history to make me believe that they're going to hit 285, hit 300, continue to hit 30 home runs. None of the players do.
Riley Green had 156 strikeouts last year. He's already at 30. That doesn't. When you think about it, I mean, we're pretty much into the first.
It's not even May.
Yeah, and he played 137 games last year. He batted .262, but it's not even May. He's already got 30. What do you think is going to have to happen? Do you think it's more of? I can't see them throwing him down into AAA. I can't see that happening. So he's going to have to probably work it out.
It's going to be a mental roller coaster.
Yeah.
It's going to be a mental roller coaster because didn't this guy go to the All-Star game?
Yeah.
And the bad thing about baseball, is, okay, so we're watching Torque. He's changed, obviously, something. Maybe he's got contacts. Maybe I don't know what it is, but he's changed something. Sure. He prepped himself, in the off-season spring training. But at the end of the day, here's the thing with baseball. You don't really change. And when I say that, Torque and these guys have been playing baseball like all of their lives. So their habits, even though you try to break them, they're still with you because that's the player you are. You know what I'm saying? Sure. So it's hard to break that. So Riley Green is going to go through a struggle at the plate. He's struggling at the plate. He was hitting 201. Now he's at 202 because I think he had 3 hits the other day. But it's going to be a mental thing with these guys because, again, I don't think that, like, their history hasn't proven. I'm not going by this thing that they did last year. Their history as players, as baseball players, has not been proven. The only proven person over there is Scooble and the coach. Torres is not even proven. Torres is just a C+, C average. Glaber. Ibanez, he's down. Everybody's dipping and dipping and dipping because I've always said about the team that they're not really good. They're no, like I said, there's no superstars on the team. There's no stars. And they need that. They need at least one cagey old superstar veteran to come in and teach Torque some more. And you know what I mean? Like, they thought it was going to be Baez. It's not. It's not him. He doesn't have that in him. He's not that type of guy. You know what I mean?
I think to give credit to who you call the star, AJ Hinch, which I would agree with you. He's a great manager. Mm-hmm. I think for me, I think I like what he's doing with the club right now. I mean, Javi, they have him at third. They've had him at short, and I think he's played the outfield a little bit this year. Mm-hmm. But to me, he's putting these players in situations that they can win.
Yep.
And Baez right now is hitting 289.
Mm-hmm.
And, he struck out 10 times. There's not any players on this team. They're all in double digits
Mm-hmm.
in strikeouts.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I mean, as bad as Colt Keith has been at the plate,
It's been bad.
hitting 185, he struck out 6 times, but he's also drew 13 walks. So, we've talked about this before. I think Colt Keith might need to go back down to AAA and just kind of get his confidence back, maybe.
Yeah, he's not good. And Meadows isn't going to save him. Cleveland's going to win. Cleveland's going to win the Central. You know why? Because they have better players. They have better, just like they did last year.
Well, they definitely have more power.
They have more power. Tigers, you better hope, hopefully you can get 30 out of Torque. They don't have any power. See, I thought, and forget the Bregman stuff, whatever. I thought they were going to try and couple this team, at least a couple of guys. You know what I mean? I thought they were going to try to get a couple more bats. They need some more help. And you just said Hinch can only do so much.
Right.
He can only do so much with what he's got. So I kind of GM this. Blame everybody, wants to say it was Harrison. He did a, okay job, and the team is, well, they made him look good last year with the run that they had. I thought this year they were going to come in and at least sign something. See, that's the thing. You got to be able to do that even though you have a good young nucleus. You need a cagey guy who takes on the leadership role, someone other than Scooble, a hitter who's been there before. You know what I mean?
Sure. Someone
still kind of not so far off his prime, but in it. That's what the Tigers need. They need maybe just one bat. I don't even think they need two, because they play with each other's back. They got each other's back.
Sure.
They like each other. The clubhouse, they like each other. But Hinch can only do so much, man. You just got to hope that pitching just, goes out and just rocks every time out.
Well,
it's going to be tough.
Maybe Riley Green is going to come out of it. Like you said, he had 3 hits last night, 2 RBIs. So maybe
he can come out.
Maybe he's just going to be a streaky player.
Well, he is. He's a streaky player. He's not an everyday, he's very streaky. He's not consistent at all. Mm-hmm. He shows signs. That's what this team is. They're sign showers.
But do you think it's more of the youth with these guys? Riley Green, he's 20, he'll be 25 this year. So he's pretty young. He's not in that prime, so to speak, category yet. Because what's prime? 26 to 32, kind of, sorta. What do you think?
Prime is 20. Prime is 26.
Okay.
Prime is 26. 25. He's 25. He's in the prime. 30, because it's 25. 30 you're down in.
Okay.
25 to 30. These are the prime years. Right? He's been in the league long enough. This is probably who he is. This is probably who he is with baseball. You know what I mean? It's who you are. He's just going to have to put a whole bunch of streaks, because he's streaky, together. They're going to have to hit timely, because if your numbers are like this, you better have timely hits. And that's, I think, what's kept him afloat. Torque doubles, he hits a home run. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of kept him from losing.
Sure.
That's why their record's what it is. They've been on time, Carpenter, but they need another bat. They need another bat because, again, nobody's afraid of them.
Right.
They're going to throw, and they're going to try. Like, they know what Torque's weak. They know what Riley's weak. They know what Torres is. They know that people figure them out like they figure people out. So they're going to need somebody to help Torque if he keeps this up. I got Torque hitting. I got him over this year. I got him 260. I think he'll hit 260, and I think he'll hit about 17, 18 home runs. It'll be a blessing to the Tigers if he hits 25. I think he'll hit 20. And I'll rephrase it. I think he'll hit 20. But the strikeouts are going to come. That's going to happen. he's a little, I think, he's not quite Rob Deere because he's got a better swing. And he can hit for base hits. He's going to be, he's the guy that's going to be the key to them with their power because they don't have, he's got to have the power.
Sure.
He's got to. There's no other way around it. Him and Carpenter got to hit home runs. They got to hit at least 20 apiece. And I think they both can do that, but the strikeouts are going to be there. Even, like you said, everybody's in double-digit strikeouts.
Yeah.
And I don't think they've seen elite superior pitching thus far,
Well, we were talking about the away records, and I was looking at this thinking the Tigers being under 500 away.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they dropped 3 to right off the start to the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But when I look at the away records, there's nobody,
Nope.
not in the American League.
No.
The two teams that have the best, believe it or not, the best team with the away record is 7-3, and that's the Athletics.
Mm-hmm.
They're 2-7 at home, and that's a minor league park they're playing in.
They're playing in the minor. I'm gonna literally. I don't know one player on that team, and shame on me.
Right.
That's how interested I am in the Athletics. Once a storied franchise, where is this going? Like Chicago, okay, whatever. But the Athletics were, you know what I mean? They were World Series, in the World Series. They drew, big names. Like, what is going on? And it's constantly year after year after year. But yeah, they, that'll believe me, that'll change shortly. That'll change shortly. But they always play the Tigers hard when they come.
I got a question for you, and maybe you can, with your baseball knowledge, you can enlighten me. I was shocked that they went and brought up Montero for that last game against the Brewers, because if I'm not mistaken, they did the regular Scooble Flaherty.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Reese was the third pitcher. He pitched last night. Again, why would they? I mean, you still have Mize and Job. After that, do you think they brought him up to kind of, with this being a long homestand, maybe to give some guys extra time?
That's exactly it.
That's what you think so?
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Hitch is a thinker. You know what I mean? He knows what.
And Montero actually didn't pitch bad.
Yeah.
And
you can still throw things off the dartboard.
Sure.
For right now, it's still early. It's getting a little later, but it's still early.
Sure.
So you can still So that's exactly what it is. You got the stand coming. You're going to need everybody on board. And like I said, this stand is the one for me. Like this is this. Like they lost the Brewer series. They need to sweep Kansas City. Take advantage of all of these teams that are like this.
Well, that game is tonight at 6:40 at Comerica Park.
They won the first one, right?
And they won the first one 6-1.
Yep. See.
It's kind of been the Tigers' MO, so to speak, in this so far in a short season. Other than with the Dodgers and the Brewers, they've always kind of taken the first two games and dropped the last one.
Yeah. They did that with the Yankees. They did that. That's kind of their MO.
So with the Tigers going with this long homestand now, they have 4 against the Royals.
Yeah.
You think bringing up Montero gives them a shot to pitch Scooble probably in that Baltimore series, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Or against the Padres.
Oh yeah. Listen. Yes. Yep. That's I like that move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a good move.
I mean, and Montero has shown flashes.
Yeah. Yep. Mize has shown flash.
Yes.
And I'm still the jury's still out on Job.
You think so?
I think so. He's young.
I mean, his stuff has been pretty filthy.
No, he's dirty. He is dirty.
Right.
But he's young. That's the thing. He's young, but he is nasty. I mean, filthy. But I'm still. You got to wait and see with the young kids. You know what I mean?
Sure.
these aren't the young kids of old, But he has good stuff. The Tigers, the pitchers, they have good stuff. A lot of them, they have good stuff. But yeah, I'm still gonna wait and see, in some of these pressure packed, moments and situations and things like that. And then you need your bullpen obviously to hold up. But yeah, he's Hinch is he knows what he's doing. Like he's a thinking man's manager. The players love him. He knows what he's doing. So yeah, that's a good move. Yep. Stretch those arms, man. Stretch them, save them.
So we were talking about Riley, a lot of these guys being young.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to compare him a little bit
Okay.
to some good Tigers of old.
Okay.
Alan Trammell.
Uh-oh.
Now, here's a guy who
So-
came up in '77,
Now you-
but I'm not going to say he's none of these guys are going to be all stars like Alan Trammell, but hitting wise,
And we're talking Bob Costas, baseball guru,
right?
and Trammell's top 10 shortstop of all time.
Absolutely. But
So let's-
his first couple of full seasons in Detroit, he batted 268, 276.
That's hard.
Yeah. It's hard to,
That's Trammell.
yeah. But looking at some of these numbers, though, Trammell really wasn't a home run hitter till
Never.
he got. I think the most home runs
As he
he
got
ever
older.
had is in '87, and if I'm not
He had like
mistaken, that
40.
might have been the year he won the batting title.
Yeah, 'cause he was-
343. He batted 343.
He had like, was it like 30 something? He went nuts that year.
28 home runs,
Yeah.
205 hits.
Yeah.
But
But that's
you kind of have to. I kind of compare these Tigers a little bit.
Don't do it.
I'm not saying that they're going to be on the same trajectory, but I'm just trying to compare them to like their first few seasons in the league compared to Trammell, Whitaker, Parrish, those kind of guys.
Okay.
120 hits, his first full season. Trammell played in 139 games, 127 hits. Strikeouts, Trammell didn't strike out much.
No, he did not.
56 in his first year, 55 in his second year, 63. So he always kind of hung around the 45 to 60 range per year.
If you're striking out at the rate these guys are, your bat is slow,
But why is it though?
or you're being fooled. You just don't know what's coming.
But why do you see a lot of home run hitters with a ton of strikeouts?
Because they swing long. Swing long.
Okay.
It's not right to the. They're not swinging for hits.
Sure.
They're swinging to hit the ball out of the
Okay.
yard. The swing is a little more open. It's not as compact as a Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn didn't hit a lot of home runs, but guess what? Closest thing to 400 we'll ever see again.
Right.
It's to the point. It's right to the point. It's to the zone. It's not loopy. It's not long. Like I like Bellinger. We picked up Bellinger, but his swing is. It's a loop to it. You know what I mean? It's kind of a home run.
Looking at other players,
Mhm.
Lou Whitaker. Lou, kind of in the same boat with Trammell.
Yep.
Around the same kind of batting average
Mm-hmm.
first couple of seasons, around the same amount of hits
Mhm.
first couple of seasons.
Mhm.
When you look at like a guy like Riley Green, who's already made an All-Star team,
Mhm.
I couldn't tell.
And that's kind of, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think you have to have one player.
So you think it's more of
Yep.
the
Not an all-star.
token?
Yeah.
You got to come.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you look at Riley Green's stats
Mhm.
last year, they're kind of his second year is kind of comparable, other than the strikeouts.
Mhm.
Is kind of comparable to Alan Trammell.
Mhm.
He batted 262 last year, in his second kind of, well, I would say that'd be more of his first season he played over 100 games because he, the first couple of years he was hurt. But, I mean, when you really look at these kind of stats, you like to try to see with this homegrown talent that the Tigers have because, the Tigers have the #1 farm system now.
So what are you trying to give him? You're trying to give him a 6-year window or?
Well, I guess I would, I really want to see because when you think about it, these Tiger, like Riley Green, he's pretty much, if you really want to think about it, he's pretty much the first homegrown outfielder that we've had come up through the system that's, played pretty well. Since what? Bobby Higginson?
See, yeah, Bobby Higgy. And people always think, these the great years that the Tigers had, you guys had a lot of free agents.
Yes.
You bought players. People always say, oh, the Yankees. When Jeter and them was winning, they had Scott Brosius, Bernie Williams. The only big star they had was O'Neal. They didn't have a lot of stars. People always now back in the day they went and grabbed Winfield. The biggest star they had, Cano was even homegrown. The biggest star they had was A-Rod when they brought him in 04, 05. One of the biggest in that. But that 5-year run with Jeter, they didn't have a lot of, they didn't have no big name mega stars. They did not. The Tigers have been known, also to, Ordonez. They grabbed probably the second best or first best catcher ever to play.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
I think the first. I think I like him over Bench. But yeah. So I thought, with that being said, I thought they would to try to grab me at least one, J.D. Martinez. I thought he was going to come back. They had talked about, but
I agree with you. I think they definitely need a power hitter in that lineup, other than Torque and Carpenter.
Yeah. And the good thing, Torque switches, so he can keep him in the lineup. You don't have to sit him and let him keep trying to do his momentum thing. But the difference between, like I said, those guys, they got consistent. They didn't continue. Like, that's a lot of strikeouts. Like I said, either your bat is very, very slow, something that you're not picking the ball up from here. You can't be. You're striking out too much. You got to pick the ball up from here. When the pitchers, you should be ready. Your timing should be that ball. You should see that ball here, how he's holding it. That's why it's hard. It's the hardest thing to do in the world in sports. You got to pick the ball up from here. See how he's holding it, what kind of seams, where's the seams at, all that stuff, how he drops it, how he comes over it. You got to pick it up, and you got to watch it all the way through, right to your bat, to the ball, all the way through. So something with that, like I said, confidence, slow bat, or he's not seeing. Hitting is seeing. I don't know if your hips aren't right. Everything should be one boom. And they're not doing that. They're not doing it. You got to pick the ball up out of the pitcher's hand. You have to, in order to hit it.
So when you look at these homegrown, and then you have guys that are pretty much are probably going to be here in the next couple of years. Max Clark. I think his name's Bryce Rainier. He's a shortstop. He's like their #1 prospect.
You nice?
Yeah.
I
believe there's another one that's down there also. So they have a few. I still think, granted, Cole Keith is in his second year. We've talked about how, a lot of guys struggle their sophomore season.
Yeah, sophomore season, yeah.
But to me, I think the difference between these Tigers and the ones in from the 80s is defense. I think the obviously Trammell and Whitaker were probably the two of the best ever to play the game at their position.
Two of Alomar first, Lou second, Joe Morgan third. That's my order. Cano could have been in that, but.
And then, you think about the defense that they have. I think I wouldn't consider any of the Dingler or Rodgers even in the league of Lance Parrish defensively.
No way. No way.
But
No.
you
not
know,
a big
you
win.
have to. That's what I think the Tigers of the '80s.
Maybe the outfield, maybe a little bit. Because the outfield, you had Chet was a superstar. Chet
But he wasn't homegrown.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't a superstar, but Chet was a star.
Right.
He was good enough. He was the grind, the grit, he run it down. So you're not going to see that. But maybe the out and
I think
right and
Herndon.
left.
I think Herndon, who wasn't homegrown,
No.
he was pretty solid in left.
He was solid. Gibby was solid. Gibby wasn't, he wasn't a Gold Glover, but Gibby was solid. Gibby was solid.
I'm going to go on a limb here,
Mm-hmm.
and I know we've talked about this before, but I Carpenter kind of
Gibby kind
reminds me of Gibby with that swing.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Because
girls,
I was watching some old
girls
Tiger
like him, too.
games.
The girls like him too.
Yeah,
If not,
and I was watching some old Tiger, and I'm
Kerry
like,
Bonds.
yeah, he just that swing, that just kind of loopy swing,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's enough to get it out. I mean,
Well, Gibby would hit you 23 home runs because we just said that the swing, their swing is it's not. You see Jeter right to the right side, boom. It's short. It's not long. It's short. Gwynn right here, short. Home run hitters hit long swings, with the exception of Barry Bonds. He had a very short, compact swing. But yeah, for the most part, McGuire, Loopy, Canseco,
and even with when you look at a guy like Lance Parrish who could get you
Yeah.
20 some
25, sometimes 30.
20,
Yeah.
sometimes 30 home runs.
Power.
When you look back at the strikeouts, there was a few seasons he had 100, but I think the highest number he had in one season was 120,
Yeah.
and that was in '84. And you see guys like Torkelson and Riley Green who have surpassed that already.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I know that these players are different nowadays than say the players of old.
Yeah.
Or in our era, so to speak.
Well, yeah, I think they think too much. I think you're thinking too much. You got to see ball, hit ball. I think you're thinking too much. Yogi Berra, he said it best. If you go up there thinking, you're already screwed. I mean, you just go up there and hit. And I think that's what Torque is starting back to do. But I think everything is a we already talked about this, analytical thing. I think they think too much.
You
They're
think
just playing
the game, the analytics of this game has hurt the game all around?
Yep. There's no analytics in Strawberry and all those guys playing. Eric Davis was stealing 60 bases, and Tim Raines, and there's no analytics. They were just talented baseball players.
Well, let's get into this. Why? I've always wanted to know this. Why do you think stolen bases are down? You don't see, you hear small ball, right? You hear people, small ball, and you've seen these teams win with small ball, and that's just basically why do we not see the 100 stolen bases or the 80 stolen bases or something like that anymore? You don't see that at all.
Because none of these guys are Raines or Ricky Henderson. I just think it's a thing of speed. Like if you got speed, go. Tigers don't have speed.
So basically, what you're saying is they don't. The league right now, MLB in the league
I don't see
right
a
now,
whole bunch of speed.
there's not a whole lot
No.
of speed.
No, the highest now you may get.
Or if you have speed, you
Yeah.
basically are a pinch runner like
Yeah.
Billy Hamilton.
Yeah,
or,
you're a pinch run,
you know.
or unless you're just a freak like Ohtani, you can steal 40, and you're that big, and he's fast. And stealing bases, ladies and gentlemen, I knew how to steal bases when I played baseball. I wasn't fast, but you got to know how to steal them. You know what I mean? Jeter wasn't very fast, but he knew how to run the bases. So you got to know how to steal. A lot of folks really don't know how to steal bases or when to go or how to go. Ricky Henderson was a base stealing machine.
Yeah.
Not with the mental capabilities of knowing when to go and how to go, and you put speed on top of that.
Well, and it seems like there was more of those players back in the 80s.
I mean, Lou would give you 20.
Right. He had Henderson,
wasn't-
Raines,
Yeah.
Vince Coleman.
Yep, Coleman, the Rabbits, McGee,
Konsenko.
Tommy Hurt,
Is it?
first 40-40.
Yeah.
But they were, those guys had speed. They had speed. I don't see a lot of speedsters. Every now and then, the kid from Cincinnati, you don't see a lot of speed anymore. You just don't. That's a good thing. I don't know why stealing, like I was going to say, the Tigers need to steal more bases, but they can't run. You don't have.
Because if you could get some guys that could steal bases.
Puts pressure on the defense.
And it puts pressure on the pitcher.
Yes, pressure.
It's going to take his mind off
Yep.
what pitch he's going to have to throw. Because
Exactly.
he doesn't know if this guy's going to take off or not.
Right. Or you're just going to put 9 people in there that can just bash the ball.
And I'm
with the
going to
bat.
say this. I think the catchers were a lot better back in the 80s when these guys were
Defensively?
stealing. Yes.
Oh, there's no question about
Compared, and then you had but yet you had more guys stealing.
it. Yeah. There's no question they were better. There's no question.
Which to me seems like if they
No
could get
question.
themselves guys that could steal 20, 30, 40 bases, that could, especially with a team right now that doesn't have a ton of power.
Right. You need
This
to do.
could be something that
I thought about that when I was watching them. I said, why did the Tigers? Well, they don't have any speed. Yeah, they definitely went. I mean, we're better. Who's the last great catcher? Was it Piazza? I haven't, like, in the last 10, 20
Lights
years.
out?
Lights out.
maybe the guy from
Piazza? Molina?
Molina, or the guy from the Royals.
Oh, yeah, he's still, I forget his name. Because he gives it Perez. Is it Perez?
I think, Salvador Perez.
Well, he gives you both. You can hit and catch. He can hit, and back then they could.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's just
Why do you think honestly the game has changed so much?
analytics again.
It's just analytics all around.
Because now you're telling your catcher, just be defensive. No, I want everybody hitting in the lineup. They've accepted it. They've made it okay just to bat 200 or just be a defensive catcher. No, Pudge did everything. Hit, ran, hit for average. Piazza did everything. I mean, if you wanted to just stay with the Tigers, Big Wheel was defensively and he could hit. Now it's just get us, just hold tight, give us 5 innings, just be a defensive catcher. We'll catch him with you all the time, all that. That's hogwash, man. That's Johnny Bench could hit. Throw you out.
Well, but that also dips into the pitching. You don't have these guys that go 9 innings.
No.
And a lot of these owners we're just protecting our investment.
For what?
But
Let
to
'em
me,
go.
don't you think it's kind of watered the pitching down?
Yeah, it's watered. It's watered.
I mean, you got a guy like Morris that didn't want to come out of the game. He wanted to go 9 innings. Guys like Frank Viola,
Frank Viola, Frank Tanana,
Nolan Ryan.
the guy in Baltimore, Palmer, Musina.
Just Carlton.
Right, yeah, you can. It goes on and on.
Yeah.
We could be here all day with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they pitched because they, like I was saying, we were having a discussion the other day, to take the association, the kids nowadays and the kids back then, even the players. Yeah, everybody, they have the groupies and the this and the that. The difference between all the sports is that back then players, they love the women and do all that, but they wanted to win too.
Yeah.
The kids now just want the women and the brand and the bag so even in baseball, they don't. You get your check. Morris wanted to pitch. He wanted to shove it up your what when he pitched. He wanted to win.
Sure.
He wanted to win. That's the thing. Nowadays, you only got a few throwbacks like that in baseball. Branding. It's a different, even with the kids coming up, we've had that discussion. A lot of kids play baseball. I mean, these younger kids that play baseball now are not the same as the older kids.
Well, I think
it's analytics.
It's
making you
analytics,
think.
but I think a lot of it is too. I mean, you think about when we were younger, you'd go out and play baseball all day
All day
in the
if I could.
summertime.
Yeah, I play by myself.
Yeah, I don't think you see that anymore.
No.
Everything has to be organized.
Yeah, everything has to be organized. Everything has to be organized. You got to get here and get to that lot, get to that field and this and no, they just don't. Yeah, it is. Baseball is 90% mental. You can be out of shape and play baseball, but it's a thinking man's game. You have to think at all times. Now you're putting more analytics. Now you're overthinking. You already got to think. Now you're putting more stuff to it. Just go catch, run, throw, and hit. Don't tell me you're going to hit the ball over here, hit the ball over here. Just hit it. Put the ball in play. Something will happen. But it's too much. It's too much thinking. Too much analytics.
What else you got for us on for this week on the Roar? I know you had some notes there.
No, I was, just talking about, the stuff on the road. Okay. They need, and I was going to bring up the stealing, steal some bases. And I haven't seen a lot of hit and run. I haven't seen a lot of hit and run. That's a part of small ball too. I haven't seen a lot of bunts from the Tigers. Put the pressure on the defense. They're going to have to. And Hint, like I said, Hint is A1. But put the pressure on the Tigers and the pitch. Make the pitcher come in and field a bunt. Put some hit and runs in there.
Sure.
I just want to see them mix it up a little bit more because that's the only way that they're going to be able to contend. They're going to have to do everything, and they're going to have to do everything right. And the pitcher's going to have to hold. Like we saw Scuba go into. I'm worried about that.
Who do you were talking about teams that are good defensively. Is it basically just a handful of players that are good defensively now in this game?
Again, they were better back then.
Right.
Yeah, because so let's just take shortstop. It used to be a whole bunch of shortstops that were just off the charts defensively at one time.
Sure. Yeah.
And you had Hall of Famer like Larkin, was last on that list. And how good he was.
Sure.
You know what I mean? You had third base, Chipper Jones. I don't know where it just dropped off, but you can't find a player like Chipper Jones anymore. Or Andrew Jones, for that matter. Best defensive center fielder maybe ever. You don't find that anymore. You just don't. He played shallow.
Is it surprising, though, even with these players from the Caribbean, that you're not finding these?
Yeah, not as much.
Yeah,
not as much. You're not as much. You're not finding as much because I think, like I said, baseball isn't the cool sport. I don't think everybody, and it's a lot to play it. So I don't know if that's what it is, or people they're more interested in football and basketball. I don't know. I know in the black community that kids don't play it because they think it's not as cool as football, as being a receiver or defensive back or quarterback or shoot the three. You know what I mean? Baseball takes effort. It takes time. You gotta get equipment for it. It's expensive, travel leagues and things like that. So I don't know if kids are just not interested, good, talented kids we might be missing out on. And the best baseball players are usually, they're pretty good athletes. They're pretty good athletes. Yeah. Winfield.
Sure.
Griffey was a good athlete.
Danny
Ainge. Yep. So
drafted by the Blue Jays.
Yep. Speaking of Blue Jays, Holiday.
Yeah.
Rest in power. A-Rod, Cal Ripken could play basketball. You know what I mean? And usually the shortstop is the most athletic player, but you don't just see not a lot of players are, like that anymore. I guess maybe not interested as much. You got to get that change the way of thinking to play some baseball. And it's that time. It's that time.
Else in there? What do you got?
That's pretty much it. I wanted to bring up the stealing and the being on the road, and I think honestly, I do think the Guardians are going to win the Central. I really do. Yeah. Yep.
Well, let's do this.
Yep.
The Lions. The Tigers have 3 more against the Royals. Tonight's game at 6:40. They play tomorrow at 1:10.
Don't split.
And then another afternoon game against the Royals on Sunday. Then you have the Padres coming in here on Monday night.
Yeah, you don't have to sweep the Royals. Just win the 3. Because at 4 games, it's hard to beat a team for it. Don't split with them, though.
Padres. I mean, it's not gonna be an easy series.
No, it's not. It's not. We'll see.
And then, right after that, I mean, we talked about this last week on the show.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be this series. Let's see, 3, 6, and 4. Yeah, I thought it was 11, but it's a 10-game homestand.
10 game.
They have three against the Orioles after the Padres. They finish up before they head off to Houston.
That'll be
to take
decent.
on the Astros.
All that stretch is decent.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're going to get a better feel of how this Tiger team is going to fare with how they come out of this Royal Series, because you're going to play a lot of games against the Royals. I think you going up against the Padres at home, if you could take that series, that's a good thing. Orioles are, that's a good baseball club too.
Yeah.
And if you could, pull out a series win there, I think it's more for me. For the Tigers, I feel like I'm not looking for them to sweep.
No.
They just got to win the series. You got to come out on top.
Yeah.
In order to keep pace, I think, with the Guardians, you're going to have to do that.
And you're going to have to beat them.
Yeah, because after the Tigers leave this 10-game homestand, it doesn't get any easier because you have to go to Houston for 3.
Yep. That's always tough.
Then you head over to the Angels of Anaheim for 3.
You can
Take that for 4.
You can-
got
you can-
4 against the Angels. And then
you can win that.
you have to go and play in the Rockies, in Denver against the Rockies.
just being on the road.
Yeah.
But you can win that
The
series.
the schedule doesn't,
Doesn't favor 'em?
I wouldn't say it doesn't favor them, but there's some tough opponents. Angels right now are pretty close to atop the West.
And let's not forget. I know Mike Trout considered the next Mickey Mantle at one point.
Yeah.
So let's not forget.
And then it doesn't. And then, like I said, I mean, when you look at it, after that, you got the Rangers coming to town in their next homestand. You got the Red Sox coming to town in their next homestand.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
Here
right
we-
now,
here we go.
the Red Sox are at 500.
Here we
The
go.
Orioles right now are at 8-10.
Yep.
And you got if I'm not mistaken, the Angels are at 9-9. So but the Rangers are 12-7 right now, atop the West. The Astros, believe it or not, are at 8-10. So they sit one game below the Athletics in the last.
They'll be fine. Astro, they always find their way up. They'll be fine.
And it's still early.
Yeah.
It's definitely still early.
Yeah, they are going to be in the mix of stuff. I'm not worried. Teams like that, I'm not worried about. Astros, they're going to be around. Guardians are going to be around. Baltimore and Yankees are going to be around. Tigers should be around. San Francisco out west, Dodgers out west, look like the Mets. I'm not worried about those teams.
Padres coming to town.
Padres are going to be around.
They're 15-4 right now.
Yes.
They're a game and a half above the Dodgers.
The-
This is what's surprising to me. They've already played 13 home games, and they've only played 6 games on the road. They're 500 on the road. So that could be something, especially with them coming into the
Down
time
the
zone.
road. Down the road, yeah.
Yeah, with the Tigers, I think they have a shot at taking that series from them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially with them only being 500 on the road.
The thing about the Padres, they just can't be the Dodgers.
Right.
They just choke. Can't be the Dodgers.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They play good. They play well. They're decent decently managed. They just don't. They just can't beat the Dodgers.
Well, that National League West is tight right
Yeah.
now.
Frisco's playing great baseball.
Frisco's playing great. Diamondbacks are at 12-8.
Diamondback, yes.
You got 4 of the 5 teams in double-digit wins. The Rockies are 3-15.
They're a disaster.
And they've been a disaster for a long time. You know what I was going to tell you? I always thought to myself, these owners need to be held accountable.
They do.
for the trash that they put out on the field.
White Sox.
It's almost
Rockies.
like you should take it should almost have it to where how they do English football, where they have in the English league you have like the top league and then the bottom two teams fall out if they end up in, and then they bring up the other league that's below it. Those two teams go up. It almost would kind of put a little spin. Put a little spin on Major League Baseball because look at all these teams that have been horrible for years.
Terrible.
Rockies have been terrible.
Yep.
You know,
Athletics.
Marlins have.
Marlins.
It's like the Marlins are either World Series or it's a drought.
Yeah. Yeah.
And actually though the World Series that they've won,
Mike.
they've had to buy players.
Yeah. That whole team was bought.
Yeah.
Yep. White Sox.
But then you look at teams like the Angels,
Terrible.
who have been I don't think they've been good since
They were terrible with Shohei.
when since Socha was their man.
Right. And he ran his score. He was there for like 30 years, and they were bad. He won a World Series with him, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, he won a World Series. But, yeah, they've been you never know what you get with the Rangers.
Nope.
But, yeah, the White Sox, Athletics, Rockies. I don't know. The Rockies, what is that? What is that? What is that? Are you even trying?
Right.
Management? Are you even
But
trying?
do you think with the Rockies, I think a lot of their stats are inflated.
Because of the park?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They've had some good players come up.
Oh, they have. But they haven't had any starters since what?
Tulowitzki?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then maybe Charlie Blackmon.
Walker was over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. They haven't had much.
No.
I think they had the one third baseman. What was his name? Oh, a few years back. But
they got he's there now. He came over from the Cubs.
they never put it all
No.
together.
And he's kind of been abysmal
Yeah,
since he's
yeah.
been there.
Cubs are in first.
Yeah.
They start out, but they're in first.
We'll
Yeah.
see. Well, you've been watching the Roar Live right here on My Michigan TV and the Kavana Broadcast Network. We will be back on next week, folks, right here on, of course.
Tell them we're going to be adding some.
Yeah, we're going to
the
be
show.
adding some things too. It's not going to just. We want to hear from you.
Yeah.
If you have any questions or things you might want to see here on the Roar Live, you can reach us at cobropodcast@gmail.com.
Yes.
Love to hear from you. Love to hear from people. We do check the chats in the YouTube and on the Facebook. So if
Reach out, folks.
Yeah, reach out. We'd love to talk with you. And of course, we're looking forward to even adding some Lion content. That we'll be talking some Lion. Is the draft next week, or is it 2 weeks?
6 days away.
6 days. So we'll have something to talk about.
6
days
days
because
away.
that's where we got our start with the Lions.
Yep. Good luck.
Yeah.
6 days away, folks. Here we go. Football starts next Thursday, basically. It's
Yeah.
the draft. Yeah.
And I'm going to be. We'll talk a little bit about that next week too,
Yep.
along with the Detroit Tigers. Well, we will be back next week, like I said, every Thursday night, and you can catch this podcast, vodcast, or whatever you want to call it, this show on your favorite podcasting platform. Just look under the Co and Bro Opinion Show. We are on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, any of those. You can catch the Roar, and of course, you can catch the Co and Bro Opinion Show. So I'll tell you what, we'll bid you adieu till next week. Take care, everybody,
Stay
and
tuned.
stay safe.